Yesterday, we looked into the ways athletic trainers ensure the safety of high school football players, highlighting the fact that many of those athletes in Upper Michigan don't have regular access to training services. But what other measures can be taken to keep players on the field, especially when we know many schools in our area are struggling with numbers? In part 2 of this series on football safety, we take a look at those options. This fall, 7 UP high schools had to cancel at least one football game due to a combination of low participation numbers and injuries.
We don't have a lot of room for injuries.
2 teams, Mid-Peninsula and Gwinn, were forced to cancel their seasons entirely. And if the numbers keep trending downward, some 8-player programs like Mid-Pen could cease to exist. Meanwhile, more and more 11-player programs like Gwinn could drop down to 8-man.
I think we're one of the smallest schools in the UP that still has 11-man football, and I know if we want to keep it that way, we have to keep all of our players healthy. So reducing the risk of injury is our #1 priority.
That's all that coaches like Bark River Harris head coach Caleb Adams can control.
That's why it's up to the school and the coaching staff to teach the proper technique and reduce that risk of injury as much as possible.
The numbers are the numbers, but many injuries, especially those sustained during practice, are preventable.
When kids are playing out of technique, tackling with their head down, serious injuries can happen. So, it's about the coaching and things like that.
Being able to tackle appropriately is one of the biggest injury preventers, because if you tackle with your head down, you're going to hurt your neck. If you keep your head up, you see what you're hitting, your risk of injury is going to decrease.
Of course, the #1 injury concern among players and parents is the risk of concussion.
I always say you need your brain for life. I can't emphasize that enough.
Hence the importance of athletic trainers and coaches who can spot the symptoms.
The sooner we can recognize that there is something going on or there may be concussion and remove them from play, we minimize the risk of having a second impact or a second impact syndrome. Second impact syndrome can be deadly, and we don't want kids to continue to play if there is a risk of that.
If you're a football fan, you've probably grown accustomed to the sight of Guardian caps, soft shell pads that cover the outside of a football helmet. They're designed to lessen the blow of impacts to the head, which athletic trainers say can prevent certain head injuries.
If I had a son that was playing football, I would probably encourage him to wear it at this point based on the latest evidence.
But they're not a cure-all.
Though adding padding to a helmet does help for certain types of injury, it can't change the fact that the brain kind of sloshes around in the head a little bit.
While Guardian caps are not mandatory for high school players in Michigan, 19% of the UP schools I surveyed require them during practice. Bark River Harris even requires them in games.
I know if the data says that they're going to help reduce concussions, that's what we're going to do. And the numbers on our program speak for themselves. At the varsity level, I've only had 1 concussion in the 2 years that we've had the Guardian caps.
And much like access to full-time trainers, budgeting for safety equipment doesn't come easy.
Yeah, it's a decision that school districts have to make in terms of what they can offer their students.
I think a lot of times with sports medicine and athletic training, we're dealing with the haves and have-nots.
So can all those measures save certain football programs here in the UP? The answer is much like my findings about Guardian caps. They can't hurt. Playing football will always pose a risk, but I hope we answered some of your questions about how area schools are mitigating or not mitigating the risk factors.